So, the real question isn't, is renting bad? And it isn't, is buying always better? The real question is, which option leaves you with more financial freedom after everything is included? Run the numbers, know your opportunity cost, and never let someone else's opinion make a six-figure decision for you.
And if you plan to stay for many years, have stable income, maintain a strong emergency fund, and can comfortably afford the full cost of ownership, buying can make perfect sense too. But if you rent, invest consistently, keep your lifestyle under control, and value flexibility, renting can be an extremely powerful financial strategy. Number 5. What will you do with the difference? This might actually be the most important question. If renting saves you $700 a month, but you invest zero of it, the spreadsheet doesn't matter. For example, a $450,000 home renting for $2,500 a month produces $30,000 in annual rent. That's a price-to-rent ratio of 15. It doesn't tell you the final answer, but it tells you whether you should investigate the deal further. Number 4. Compare the price to the rent. Take the home price and divide it by the annual rent for a comparable property. This gives you a quick price-to-rent ratio. Number 3. Do you have an emergency fund after closing? Because owning a house means something eventually breaks. Water heater, roof, HVAC, plumbing, appliance, and the bill doesn't care about your budget. Number 2. Can you comfortably afford the entire payment, not just the mortgage? If buying a house forces you to stop investing, destroy your emergency fund, or live paycheck to paycheck, the house may be too expensive. Number 1. How long will you stay? If you might move for a new job, a new city, or a different lifestyle within a few years, renting can give you valuable flexibility. So how do you actually decide? Forget the argument of rent is throwing money away. Forget the idea that buying is always an investment. Use a simple 5-question test. If the property rises in value, your equity can grow. But leverage works both ways. If the property falls, your equity can fall much faster relative to the cash you originally invested.
Imagine that instead of putting $90,000 into the house, the renter invests that money. And imagine they consistently invest the difference between their rent and their total housing cost. That's where compound growth enters the story. Now, let's look at renting. Suppose a similar home cost you about $2,500 a month to rent. The renter doesn't need the $90,000 down payment, and they don't directly pay the property tax, major repairs, or the homeowners insurance on the building. What if the biggest financial mistake you can make isn't buying a house, but buying one at the wrong time? In 2026, the typical American home costs around $440,000, and a 30-year mortgage is still around 6.7%. So here's the question: should you keep renting or finally buy?
If the property rises in value, your equity can grow. But leverage works both ways. If the property falls, your equity can fall much faster relative to the cash you originally invested. If you rent for $2,500 and spend the extra money on restaurants, cars, vacations, and random purchases, you don't magically become wealthy because you chose to rent. If you rent for $2,500 and spend the extra money on restaurants, cars, vacations, and random purchases, you don't magically become wealthy because you chose to rent. But before renters start celebrating, There's a huge problem with this argument. The math only works if you actually invest the money.
For example, at an assumed 8% annual return, $100,000 invested for 30 years could grow to roughly $1.0 million, even without adding another dollar. Add consistent monthly investing, and the number can become dramatically larger.